Hello and welcome to this video. I've been asked by a lot of people to create this, so I'm happy to share 24 ways to adapt to selling in a crisis. At the time of recording, the world is gripped in the coronavirus outbreak, and there's a lot of people, particularly in the business world, who aren't really sure what to do, don't know how to sell, how to react, and quite frankly, they're panicked and they're not sure about where to go from here. So I've put together 24 simple things that you can do to adapt how you sell. Now, some of them are going to be relevant to you and your business, and others might not be so relevant, but there's plenty of ideas, strategies, and concepts in here to help you, because the most important thing for you to do at this time is to take some action. It's very easy to let the events that are unfolding right now to overtake us and to wonder what's going to happen and to move straight to panic. The best thing to do is to take action. Whether that means adapting your approach, adapting your offering, you're going to be looking at all sorts of things in your business. But one of the most important parts about any kind of crisis situation is that we need to maintain a degree of normality where possible. So feeling ashamed to be selling at this time and not really knowing how to approach it, we can't let those things get in the way. As we go through the 24 different concepts, we'll obviously understand that you can't be seen to be profiteering from other people's misfortune. That's exactly not what this video is about, but this video is about how to adapt if your business has been impacted severely by the current outbreak of the coronavirus or any kind of a crisis that might have affected you on a local, national, or international level. So let's get straight into it. Number one, the first thing to do when a crisis occurs is to be clear on what you can do. Now, this comes down to WYSIWYG. It's computer terminology. What you see is what you get. You need to communicate very clearly with your clients and potential clients to let them know what you can actually do at this time and what you can't. Keep those lines of communication open and keep the information coming. Do not disappear. Do not hide. Secondly, be visible. Now, this is known as propinquity, but essentially you want to be as visible as possible in as many places as possible. This doesn't mean you need to start spamming your potential clients, but it does mean you need to be active on social media, still maintain activity with your advertising, speak to your clients, speak to your potential clients, speak to your staff members, stay visible, stay seen, do not hide, do not disappear in the midst of the crisis. Thirdly, display confidence, certainty, and expertise. Now, in any situation, when your buyers are looking to buy from you, they're looking for these three things: confidence, certainty, and expertise. Now, by definition, you're an expert at what you do or what your offering does. By definition, you're certain you can get the result that you claim to be able to get for me. But your confidence of delivery is everything. Now, in a normal situation, I work with clients to talk about their sales messaging and their selling confidence so they can come across confidently in a situation. But the focus here is that in a crisis situation, if as a potential client or a client of yours, I see you panicking and not knowing what to do, it's very, very unnerving. We need to stay as calm as possible and understand that your buyers and your clients, and of course your staff, are looking to you as a salesperson or as a business leader to display confidence, certainty, and expertise. Yes, there might be uncertainty at this time, but there's certainly lots of action that we can take and lots of things that we can do. Number 4, show empathy. Don't forget, we are all people. We are all in this together. It's called mankind for a reason. You will be facing challenges, your staff, your colleagues, your clients, your suppliers, your neighbors, your family. Everybody will be facing different challenges, different problems. Show empathy. Connect with people. Understand them. Lend them an ear. Allow them to express themselves. And hopefully they'll allow you to express yourself. When we're panicking and when we're not sure what to do, the best antidote is to communicate, to share our problems, share our worries, and even more importantly than that, ask others for help and offer help to others. And that brings us to number 5. Offer your help or resources for free where possible. Now, I don't want you to go bankrupting yourself and giving away all of your stock for free or all of your time for free, but you have to understand that in times of crisis, People might physically not be able to afford what you offer, or they might be conserving cash and they're just unsure where to spend it and what to do. So think about your offering and think about how much of it you can share for free for the benefit of others. It's the law of reciprocity. Doing good for other people will always come back to you, but that's not the reason why we do it. Doing good for other people is just the right thing to do, particularly in times of crisis. And if you yourself are in need and you're on the receiving end of somebody else's goodwill, you will know firsthand just how important and how valuable it can be. Number 6, very, very important. Do not make overt crisis-related offers. Long after the crisis that you're facing passes, people will remember how you acted. If you have a themed sale, a discount, or if you're seen to be reselling goods at an incredible markup, goods that are quite hard to get hold of, people will notice that and they will not forget it. Long after the crisis has gone, they will remember how you acted. So please do not use any crisis of any description as a hook or an opportunity to sell or to increase the price of your offering. It might feel in the short term like a commercially viable thing to do and a way to generate income, but in the long term it will damage and potentially kill your reputation and your business. And more importantly than all of that, it's just not the right thing to be doing. Number 7, be clear on the range of your offering. Depending on how your business is impacted, let's be very clear with clients about the range of our offering. So from the smallest to the biggest, what's affected, what's available, what's not, and focusing in particular on the minimums. So in a crisis situation, people don't have cash or they conserve cash. So what's the absolute minimum quantity that I can buy from you? What's the minimum thing, the cheapest thing that you can offer and that you can do? You need to be very, very overt about this and very clear so people understand what they can get from you if they do need to do business with you. Number 8. Repurposing your offering. So firstly, can your offering be used in another way? Now, it's hard to get into specifics because I don't know your business and your particular offering, whether it's a good or a service, but I always use the example of cereal. The cereal manufacturers know that many of us use cornflakes as a snack or even sometimes as an actual meal, although very few of us are going to admit that we had Frosties for dinner. But it means that people use more of the offering and they've just found a new way to use it. So in times of crisis, how does this affect your offering? Does it mean people can use it in different ways? Now, that's not in terms of, in this slide here, to encourage people to use more of it. It's not that, but it's letting people understand that what you offer can be used in multiple different circumstances and it might actually be able to help them overcome the challenges that they might be facing. But unless you point that out, they might not be aware of it. Number 9, repurposing again. Now, can you break your offering into component parts? People are conserving cash, people are unsure about the future, and they might not need the whole gamut of your offering. So could you break your offering down into segments, into component parts, bite-sized, smaller, accessible pieces, which allows you to access new potential clients and potential clients who want to spend less or only actually need a very, very small slither of what you do. Number 10, repurposing. Can you offer quite the opposite here, a full service offering, which is essentially ready to use? So using the example of ready to use screen wash or pre-washed salad, could you go to the other end of the spectrum and provide absolute convenience for your clients by giving them everything that they need to achieve the outcome that they are looking for? Number 11, adapting for convenience. So buyers and human beings, we will always fall to the path of least resistance. We want the quickest, simplest, cheapest, most effective resolution or route to solving our needs, problems, and challenges. So how could you adapt? Could you create an online version of your offering if the offline version has been impacted by the crisis? Conversely, could you create an offline version of the offering if the online version is not available? And if the telephone lines or the electricity system is somehow affected, could you create an offline version of your online offering? Could you create a delivery version of your offering? Rather than expecting clients to come to you, could you deliver to them? Number 11, create a budget version. So looking at your offering, as well as stripping it into the component parts, could you strip it back to no frills? What's the cheapest, most minimally viable version of your offering, product or service that you can bring to the marketplace that's going to help people who are conserving cash and are worried about spending money. So they're still able to achieve what they need to achieve and get where they need to go, but they now have access to a low frills or no frills version of your offering. Number 12. Could you also create a smaller or bite-sized version of your offering? So we're all familiar with the Kellogg's variety packs of cereal, where you have a very small mini pack, bite-sized serving of your offering. Could you also do that? Could you just split your offering up to achieve a lower price point and a much more specific area of reaching your clients' needs on a tight budget? Number 13. Conversely, could you create a mega pack? So in times of crisis, people conserve things. People like to stockpile. So if resources and time allow, could you create a much larger mega pack version of your offering that your clients could hold in reserve for future events? Number 14, focus on a niche. When you're selling, you should have a really good understanding of who your client avatars are and who you're focusing on, but could you really hone that in? Could you be hyper specific at this crisis time about who you can help and how you can help them and the challenges that they're facing? Could you speak directly to those incredibly specific people that you need to reach? Think about age groups, locations, the problems that they're facing, the shortages that they have. Could you be as specific as possible to find your ideal client as specifically and as clearly as possible? Number 15, offering payment terms. One of the biggest issues in a crisis situation is the conservation of cash and the uncertainty. So if you haven't got the offering available, could you offer a finance option to your potential buyers? Could you split the payments in some way to make it more palatable for them and ease their cash flow? And number 16, could you sell gift vouchers to redeem later? So if for whatever reason your offering can't be delivered now or in the near future, could you sell vouchers that are redeemable at a later date or available to be gifted to other people who may have a need for your products or services? Number 17, could you incentivize prepayment? So again, if your offering isn't deliverable now, or if there is some kind of issue and some kind of uncertainty, could you encourage your clients to prepay, give them an incentive to do so? It gives you cash flow into the business and it allows your buyers to access your offering at a lower price point. So it's a win-win. Number 18, securing future appointments. Now, your dentist is the master of this. Every time you go to the dentist, when you leave, they say, hey, that's great. We'll see you in 6 months. What are you doing on the 17th of April next year, whenever it happens to be? So could you do that with your clients? If you're in a repeated purchasing cycle, how can you secure the next appointment, the next purchase, the next order, the next meeting, the next phone call, the next whatever? Don't allow an interaction to be the end of your interaction, particularly in a crisis scenario. Are you able to extend your interaction with that client and secure their next requirement for your product or service? Number 19. Now, this isn't for everybody, but it is an option. Could you offer to pay on results? So in times and in marketplaces when cash is extremely scarce and people physically do not have the money to pay you, but they do have a need for what you're doing, could you move to a pay on results setup where you offer to work for the client or provide things to the client and they only pay you when the result is achieved? This does not apply to a great number of service businesses and product-based businesses, but it does have relevance and is worthy of note. So could you move to a pay-on-results model? Number 20, could you create a subscription offering? So in the same regard as securing the next appointment, could you offer a continuous access to your products, your services, your resources, your premises, your people, whatever it happens to be? So could you move from a one-time purchase or a varied purchase schedule to a monthly, weekly, annual subscription where people pay on a continuous basis to have continuous access to the value that you are providing? Number 21, if you don't already, now is the time to think about incentivizing loyalty. In times of crisis, we are likely to go to the cheapest supplier or the supplier with the things that we actually need. So now more than ever, loyalty is an important factor in your client relationships. Could you, if it's appropriate, incentivize your clients to remain loyal to you? How could you make it a no-brainer for them to continue buying from you? It might be a discount, it might be a free gift, it might be the relationship that you've built up with those people and the fact that you go the extra mile for them and give them way more than they need from you at each interaction. But double down your efforts and focus on loyalty and looking after your existing clients, not just seeking out new clients to sell to. Number 22, ask for referrals and incentivize referrals. So going to your existing client base and going to the marketplace as a whole, how could you incentivize people to recommend your products or services? Could you give them a discount, a free gift, a cash incentive? How can you use the power of personal recommendation and the smaller social networks that exist in society to reach new audiences and new potential buyers by providing an incentive for them to do so? Number 23, any kind of selling always involves thinking about your existing clients. Follow them up. Ask them, how are they? Have they got everything they need from you? How is the service they received from you? Is there anything they need at this time that they don't have or can't get access to or would like you to provide? Crisis situations can produce all sorts of opportunities. Now, this isn't to be profiteering from other people's misery, it's absolutely not. But if there's a need in the marketplace for certain things and you're able to supply them, and you're not going to supply them at a ridiculously high price to take advantage of the scarcity of a situation, then this is a commercial opportunity. So if there's a particular need for something that you can do, then you need to consider adapting your offering to serve your clients and to give them everything they need. But the best way to find that out is to speak to people, to ask their feedback. And this goes back to the very, very first point in this video, which is be seen, be visible, talk to people. In times of crisis, disappearing, panicking, sitting on your hands, worrying about what to do next, serve no one. Action and communication are the only real things that are going to drive you forward. Number 24. Following up potential clients. So if you've got people who you've spoken to, but they've not yet come back to you, and you're suspecting that the crisis that is unfolding or that has occurred or is about to occur will cause them to conserve cash and to worry about spending on your product or service, how could you reassure them? How could you incentivize them to continue to buy from you regardless of the crisis that's unfolding? We see this online quite often. If you leave something in your checkout bag on a website and you go away, and you'll get an email often if they're using technology correctly. They'll say, hey James, I noticed you popped a pair of Levi's jeans in your bag there, but you haven't checked out. But I tell you what, if you come back and buy them, we'll give you 25% off your next purchase. So if you've got people that you've spoken to, they're not coming back to you, you're not really sure, but you think they're holding off because of the crisis, how could you incentivize them to go ahead with you? How could you change your offering? Thinking back to some of the earlier examples, could you just offer to sell them just a part of what you're doing? Extend some finance to them, offer to deliver it to them, offer it online or offline. How can you adapt what you're doing, and how can you reopen the lines of communication to say, hey, we're still here, we can still help you. I appreciate there's a crisis unfolding, and this is what we can do to adapt to still serve you and do business. So that is very, very quickly a whistle-stop tour, 24 ways to adapt to selling in a crisis. Selling in a crisis is an interesting proposition because lots of people are nervous about talking business and selling when there might be really, really important humanitarian issues occurring on the table. But at the end of the day, if the economy falters and if the economy fails, things will get worse. So depending on how you are impacted, and as long as you aren't profiteering from the misery of others, and as long as you aren't using this as an angle to profit yourself in some way, because those are two things you absolutely should not be doing, then to continue to sell in a crisis situation is perfectly acceptable, but it does call for an adaptation of your attitude, your language, and your offering. There's two final points that I really want you to remember from this video, particularly if you're watching this at a time of crisis. The first one is this: Remember, we're all just people and we're in this together. Crises affect different people in different ways. But whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whatever, we're still just people trying to get along and trying to do what we need to do in our lives. Whether it's trying to make sure our children are safe, make sure we've got a roof over our head, or we've got enough money for food, or whatever it happens to be. Don't lose sight of the fact that we're all people and we're all in this together. We are all human beings. And at times of crisis, we need to come together more than ever and look after one another. And the second point, which is super important, how you react to a crisis situation will be remembered long after the crisis ends. So if in a time of crisis you have a good supply of something that is in high demand and you massively increase your prices and you're seen to be profiteering from the misery and shortages that are occurring thanks to the crisis, then in the short term you'll have a boost to your cash flow, but in the longer term it will kill your reputation and your business. People will not forget how you act in a crisis. So it not only makes sense, but it's the safest thing to talk to people, offer your help where possible, be kind, show compassion. If you see a crisis as a commercial opportunity and a way to profit, then it is deathly for you and your business. It's short-sighted, and above all else, it's just not the right thing to do. It's wrong. Okay, 24 ways. So please share this video with anybody who you think might benefit from it. In times of crisis, we all need new ideas, new strategies, new ways to approach selling and approach life in general. So if there's anybody that you think that might benefit from this video, then please share it with them. And secondly, if you would like, please subscribe to be notified when we release more videos like this. There will be more videos to come giving some really detailed advice on how to sell in specific situations. So if you would like to see those videos, then please do subscribe. Above all else, please stay safe, look after yourself and those around you. Thank you.